So today, lads, we saw a clip from the Steward podcast, and I'm really disappointed. I'm really disappointed because this is a podcast, by the way, that if we're being completely honest, a big reason why people care about it is because of the current growth. Because of the current growth in the WNBA. It's not like Steward's not one of the biggest names of all time. Let's be real. But the reason why you're seeing, again, Angel Reese podcast doing well, Sophie, to a much bigger extent, a Sophie Cunningham podcast killing it. And to be fair, Angel Reese everything has been from her own growth. I will have to give her credit where credit's due there. But at the same time, you have to talk about the growth in women's basketball and the growth of sports as an objectively positive thing. And it's funny, and this is my favorite part about this, is that you're not allowed to credit Caitlin Clark with the growth, but if you believe there are bad things with the growth, you can blame Caitlin Clark. You're allowed to blame Caitlin Clark for the bad things, but you're not allowed to credit her for the good things. And it's so disappointing to see a podcast. And whatever, Super can't control her guest. But posting this as like, it's part of the growth, we're watching it in real time. And her essentially co-signing that Caitlin Clark's everything's wrong with the WNBA. That is what I took from this comment. And that's basically what it is. It's like, oh, it was great beforehand. What about beforehand? Like, we can be real. We have to be 1,000,000% honest here. Beforehand, there was a reason why outside of the Aces and sometimes the Liberty, if you got 3,000 people at a game, it was a shock. Before Caitlin Clark. For any team. Outside the Aces and the Liberty. And you got to give credit where credit's due for what the Aces did. And obviously the Liberty, the size, put good money into that. And also, them being based in New York helps. And having Sabrina Ionescu. But you got to give credit where credit's due to the Aces. Like, they absolutely, they were the kind of start of it all. They were the start of being decent franchise. But let's take a listen. This is just ridiculous.
The people that are coming in and watching the sport and are fans of the sport feel like maybe they're there for a weird reason.
This is 2025. This is 2025. I'm sorry. This is a point that you could maybe have argued early 2024. The WNBA, no offense to the players, is not culturally relevant anymore. As in, like, you are not seeing freaking every single time Caitlin Clark plays a game and it being on worldwide news anymore. Even when Caitlin Clark plays, it is not one of those things where, and this is why I always say we're culturally relevant, where it's like, if you look at Google Trends and the amount of people that were searching for things in the WNBA a year ago compared to now was tenfold. It was tenfold a year ago. Everything about the league, because it came at this time where and they could absolutely be right. A year ago, it did come at a time where obviously a lot of things were politically completely divisive in America, and a lot of people used the WNBA to push those narratives. But there's a million other things that people are pushing for their political narratives right now, rather than the WNBA. There's a million other things they can talk about. Those same people that were using Caitlin Clark or using Angel Reese on either side of the spectrum to make points against the other side are using other things. They're talking about other things because there's more relevant things in life than the WNBA right now. The people that are still watching are fans of basketball, and to say they're there for weird reasons completely wrong. It's literally like saying, oh, you know, fans of the NBA was on tape delay 2 years ago. You know, all those fans that are here for Magic Johnson and Larry Bird, they're here for a weird reason. They weren't watching on tape delay, so it doesn't matter. Like, it's trying to make that a point. It's ridiculous.
And now they've found sort of maybe one player to hyperfixate on that they feel stands at odds with what a WNBA player is in their minds.
And the funniest thing about this is, like, you can see Sue Bird's kind of smile. At least you can see Megan Rapinoe being like, fuck, fuck this. Where it's like, you brought on Caitlin Clark as a guest, you're not pushing back. And by the way, the fact is that people are watching for Me Too comment. So you're simultaneously admitting, when you want to talk about it in a negative way, you're allowed to say, oh, all the bad fans are only here for Caitlin Clark. But all the good fans are here for everybody else. You're allowed to do that.
And they passionately love that player in a way that actually just feels like it's hate being disguised as love.
No, that's just fans being fans. If you made this comment a year ago, there might have been a tiny bit of validity to your statement. especially 18 months ago, for the first maybe 5 or 6 games of Caitlin Clark in the WNBA. Like, and then especially around the time of the Kennedy Carter cheap shot and everything. You could there might have been some validity to this argument through the first 5 games of Caitlin Clark's career. In April of 2023, you could absolutely make that argument after this situation. There could be some validity to that argument. But like, the fact is that Caitlin Clark rocking up for Team USA training camp has 1 million views. Like, apparently they're there out of hate. People are following every move Caitlin Clark and going to watch her play golf out of hate. Like, it's fucking bullshit. And again, the fact that this is being put out as a highlight of a clip and it's not pushed back on by these hosts who are supposed to be there growing the game, and you've essentially let someone blame one person who you've had on the podcast, who you've had on your show multiple times, who gave time out of her day to show up on your show at All-Star Weekend, who, by the way, you're in charge of her Team USA and you're allowing this. This is bullshit. This is absolute bullshit.
That they want to have against the rest of the league. And we sort of had this moment where the rest of the fans had to go like, you paid the same money for your ticket, and you being here is also helpful to the sport. And that's a really difficult thing to do. They had no sort of reverence for the fact that, like, buddy, this conversation's been going on without you for years and years.
And the WNBA was losing however many tens of millions a year, and it was going to continue to lose tens of millions a year. Yes, it was on a steady grow. Yes, women's sports are becoming bigger, and it's not just the WNBA. If you look at women's soccer, if you look at and just in general all women's sports, but there was the WNBA, and I'm not saying women's basketball is failing, because women's college basketball was not, and that was even before Caitlin Clark. Those UConn teams were big, but there was never, even up until Caitlin Clark showed up, there was never the follow-on from audiences. The UConn fans didn't follow their players to the WNBA. And part of it was that a lot of rookies were coming to the WNBA and being sat on the end of the bench, even though they were there at 22, because it was this old-fashioned, rookies don't do anything, especially rookie guards. And that's why a lot of WNBA people were so down on Caitlin Clark before she came in. And she was fucking best guard in the league from the second she set foot in the league.
Years and years. And now you come in here and just think that you can, because you love this one player, and this one player is very good. She's very, very good. And like, I would love to just openly love them. Those are the types of moments.
I would love to openly love them. Yeah. That's it. It's not about the fans anymore. I hate Caitlin Clark. I can't like Caitlin Clark because her fans. It's like, no, you absolutely can. You are well within your right to hate a fan base. You are absolutely well within your right to hate a fan base. But you can't go and say, I hate this person because people that are supporting her, I believe they're the problem with the league. Like, that's just being the thing where it's like, at least go and when it's all said and done, at least come out and say it, being like, I hate Caitlin. I think she's ruined it. And be honest, not just this weird like roundabout way where you are like, you're trying to make it seem like, I'm not going to hate Caitlin, but yes you are. Like, it is what it is. You're allowed hate Caitlin if you want, but that's what it is. Straight up, it is what it is. Because she is basically, again, as much as said, no, can't support Caitlin because of her fans. It's like, because her fans aren't there for basketball. And by the way, like, do you guys think that those millions of people that watch the Indiana Fever play when Caitlin Clark isn't there? Could you imagine? So you actually are trying to make the point that people that are there for weird reasons and are only there to watch Caitlin Clark to hate the WNBA are in the millions watching Caitlin Clark's team play basketball when Caitlin Clark isn't playing herself. Are you that dumb? And I'm really disappointed in at least Megan Rapinoe. You could at least see a bit of a face being like, oh God. But like, I'm very disappointed to see this being pushed and there being no pushback and this being pushed as a podcast clip. I'm very disappointed because will it ever end? Will it ever end? And again, this is someone in Sue Bird who absolutely is held to a higher standard. This is very different than on another podcast. This is, again, a podcast where Caitlin Clark has been on multiple times. To say that Caitlin Clark hasn't helped out Sue Bird and Megan Rapinoe's podcast immeasurably is wrong. And I'm not saying that they owe it to her to be nothing but positive about her. You can tell the truth. At the end of the day, you don't owe lying about someone to anybody. But what you do owe them is the decency to at least clap back when somebody is essentially blaming them for everything negative in the league, while again almost refusing to give them credit and calling her being in the league growing pains for the league. Like, she at least deserves that. As a person, she deserves that much. Whereas like, and I don't even care that much when it comes to the fans. When it comes to being like, oh, the fans are bad. It's like everybody knows the fans are there. That are still there for basketball. Let's be real. But that's the funny thing, is that if you are just there for basketball and you are in any way involved in WNBA circles, like if I wasn't making money out of this, I wouldn't be watching these games. Fuck that. Like, you've got the media, you've got the league as making a group of people feel like they are not only unwelcome, but they're a problem if they're just watching basketball. And let's never forget. I always say this, where it's like, I've been called every slur for an Irish person under the sun. I've been accused of being everything for liking basketball. Like, and it's ridiculous. It's all ridiculous. And the fact that she's pushing it is bad. This is getting very old. Stop giving oxygen to small problematic group you find every fan base. Exactly. And like, to act like I haven't been given death threats by by quote unquote Caitlin fans. I've been given death threats by Caitlin fans. I've been given death threats by Angel Reese fans. I've been told if I go to the Chicago Sky Arena, I'm not making it out alive. I was told going to Game 3 of the WNBA Finals last year. Literally, I posted I was going to be there, and someone, again, put a threat on my life as I was on the way to the arena. I went and followed a group of people out. So that I was in a big group of people, went to an Irish bar right outside Target Centre and stayed there until I could get an Uber right there because I didn't know if someone was waiting for me. That wasn't Fever fans. And I'm not going to say Lynx fans are all crazy people either, because one crazy Lynx fan, or maybe it was a random person on Twitter who pretended to be one. Like a crazy person put it throughout my life. I'm not going to blame Angel Reese fans. South Carolina fans are the worst. South Carolina fans are they're some of the worst people. But all South Carolina fans are not bad. Some of the Paige Bueckers fans are fucking nut jobs. That doesn't mean Paige Bueckers fans are all bad. UConn fans are all bad. Some of them are nut jobs. It is what it is. The bigger the fan base, and the thing is, like, if there's 1 million fans, 100 bad fans looks the exact on social media is 100 bad fans. And if it's 100 bad fans out of 1 million, it looks worse than 50 bad fans out of 75. If there are 75 fans of one team and 50 of them are complete nut jobs, it still seems like there's less nut jobs than if there's 100 nut jobs in a fan base of millions. And that's just a fact. That's just a fact. And then people are like, oh, it's not a small percentage. Like, people don't understand what small percentage means. All fans are so pretentious. Boring story. Americans are stupid. The only reason you keep calling certain fan bases is you're afraid to be called racist and call it the 2 most toxic fan bases. If you want to talk about most toxic fan bases by percentage, the South Carolina fans is by far the most toxic by percentage. And I'm not saying all South Carolina fans are bad. And a big reason for that is because one of the people that has the biggest voices is Aja's friend, and we all know who that guy is. Who she refuses to say one negative word about. But and that is something that she does personally, and not Caitlin Clark, who's basically said not to use her name for negativity 1 billion times. But yeah, anyway, that's a video. See you guys.